if your family members decided to come now, like lots of Indian people are, on illegal boats, you would send them to Rwanda. Are you saying if your parents were to arrive today, or any members of your family fleeing persecution from India, you'd be happy for your family, your parents, to be sent to Rwanda?
Well, I don't think it matters when my parents come. I'm a British citizen.
I think it does. Of course it does. Why doesn't it matter? Why does that not matter? You're avoiding the question, Ms. Coutinho.
No, I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer the question.
Returning to our breaking news this morning, the energy price cap is to drop an average 7% from the 1st of July. But how else will Conservatives keep bills down if they win the next election? Energy Secretary Claire Coutinho joins us now.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Britain. So we've heard this morning that there will be a drop in the energy price cap, but we're also told that it's predicted it will go back up again in October and January. So it's not all good news, is it?
Well, there's always a bit of seasonal change, but this is good news because this is the second big drop that we've had in the year. So in April, people's prices came down on average something like almost £250. And now we've heard that in July, they'll come down about £120. So these are big steps down.
Big steps,
and I think this is really welcome.
Sorry to interrupt.
Big
really
steps.
Welcome. Everybody's very happy about that, I'm sure. But of course, this is a reflection, isn't it, of a drop in global prices. That the energy regulator has then been able to move that cap down. And Rishi Sunak, the government, has always said that the reason why things are a problem is because of global issues. Now they're coming down because some of those global issues were resolved. So you can't really claim that this is your doing, can you?
Well, I'm setting out plans today to make sure that we can keep capitalising on this good news, because I know energy bills have been the biggest struggle for families over the last few years. And that's why we're setting out more consumer protections. I've already set out in this role some tariff reforms, which mean that people will get, for example, off-peak electricity, which could save households up to £900. So we've been working on this for some time, but we're setting out the next steps today to look at, for example, things like standing charges, which people have felt are too high, and to make sure that there's better competition in the market so people can get those fairer deals.
So why haven't we addressed standing charges before? Because I think everybody's agreed, haven't they? Everybody's agreed that they are very difficult for people. So why haven't you pressed Ofgem to do something about that already?
So we've worked with Ofgem. They've launched a call for evidence. They've had 30,000 responses because standing charges have been going up. And what we're saying is we want to see them coming down. We want them to be fairer. So this is building on work that we've done. But I would just say, because we are in an election, if you don't mind, that all of our instincts has been to make sure that we can have cheap energy in this country, whether that's what we're putting onto the system, but also how people are experiencing bills and competition and making sure they're getting those good deals. And actually, there is a difference between us and the Labour Party on this, because independent experts have said that their proposals would raise people's bills and raise people's taxes, when actually they've been through a really tough time already.
Yeah, so Sir Keir Starmer just said that under their plans, literally minutes ago on our programme, the average provision was come down by about £400. He also said this would be permanent, not a sticking plaster. So, yes, you've launched a report, you've pressed Ofgem to listen to complaints, but you're going to get this, aren't you, with every policy? You've had 14 years. Just hearing people's complaints feels a little bit late when you've had the chance to put it right.
Hang on a second. There's lots of things that we've been doing. We've built record clean energy. There's pretty much no other country in the world, bar one or two, who built as much clean energy as we have in 14 years. And we brought in things like the energy price cap. And when things were really difficult for people, we took bold action to make sure that we could help people with their bills to the tune of almost £1,500 per household. So this is all things that we've been doing. Today is just a next step. And actually, if you look at Labour's plans, what they want to do is go further and faster, no matter what the cost is when it comes to climate emissions, no matter what that does to households. And actually, that's very different between us and them, because we've been ambitious. We've done more on climate change, actually, than anybody else when it comes to all the major economies, your top 20 largest ones. We've done much more, and we're ambitious going forward, but we care about the cost to households.
I have to say that Sir Keir Starmer did very specifically just moments ago give costings. So to say that they're going further and faster is obviously your position. He would say that's a good thing, and it is costed.
Well, hang on a second. That's not just my position. You could look at someone like the Tony Blair Institute, again, not a right-wing outfit, which has said that their proposals would raise people's energy bills and leave us more energy insecure. You can look at people like the unions, again, not traditionally associated with the Conservatives, but with the Labour Party. They've said that their proposals are reckless and naive. So this isn't just me saying this, and this is really important for families because, as I said, one of the biggest challenges that they've had is energy bills, which is why I want to make sure that we can keep them coming down.
All right, Claire Coutinho, let's move on. I want to talk about this election day. It's surprised lots of people. The election date is July the 4th. For the last 12 months or so, longer than that, one of your main policies has been these Rwanda flights, that this is going to be the key moment how you're going to solve the migrant crisis about illegal, so-called illegal immigration. Yet, before July the 4th, we will not see one single flight leave for Rwanda. Our Prime Minister, your leader, has admitted that. What's going on? So the biggest thing that your prize golden ticket, if you like, we're not going to see the result of.
Well, I mean, firstly, we would have been able to do this sooner if the Labour Party hadn't voted against it 139 times. And secondly, actually, the Labour Party have been highly critical of this policy, which is to help deter illegal immigration, which is putting
I'm asking why you have called for a general election before those flights. So surely, if you thought those flights were going to happen, the sensible thing would be, and you're so convinced it would happen, is to call the election after the flights.
Well, look, we do think the flights are going to happen. As I said, we've laid all the preparations. We've now passed the bill. But the really important thing here is the choice at the next election, because, as I said, we put forward this policy. Labour voted against it 139 times. And now you're seeing countries across Europe. If I could just finish, because I do think this is important. The Labour have been very critical of this policy, and now countries across Europe are saying that they want to do the same thing. So actually, a Labour government, if they came in, would end up being an outlier when it comes to illegal immigration, and that is a stark difference.
Let me ask you about the Rwanda plan. Your parents, like mine, your parents were Christians, actually, who came from India in the 1970s.
Catholics.
If Christian Hindus, who are persecuted in parts of India, churches are being burnt down, some are being killed by Hindu nationalists right now. If your family members decided to come now, like lots of Indian people are, on illegal boats, you would send them to Rwanda. Are you saying if your parents were to arrive today, or any members of your family fleeing persecution from India, you'd be happy for your family, your parents, to be sent to Rwanda?
Well, I don't think it matters when my parents come. I'm a British citizen.
I think it does. Of course it does. Why doesn't it matter? Why does that not matter? You're avoiding the question, Ms. Coutinho.
No, I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer the question, which is this. That actually, when you look at people coming over in the boats, a lot of people are economic migrants. And actually, the system isn't fair to those who are being the most persecuted.
But your policies, everybody who comes on illegal boats, you're saying everybody who comes on illegal boats, you're saying everybody who comes on illegal boats will be sent to Rwanda. You're avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question. The people who are the most persecuted are less able to get asylum because there are huge pressures on the system because of people coming over illegally. So if you care about asylum, which I do, I think it's really important, you would want a system that's not being overwhelmed by people coming illegally,
that your parents
which I think is really important.
Asylum, so they wouldn't need to go.
I don't think we could bring my parents into it.
But the principle Adil's saying is, would you feel comfortable about sending a member of your own family to Rwanda? Because that sort of gets to the emotional heart of what people are uncomfortable about of this plan,
so I understand
albeit that all parties want to tackle illegal immigration and stop the boats.
Well, I understand that, but let me tell you this, because I had responsibility for children in the care system, for example, and what happens is when people come over in overwhelming numbers, that puts a lot of pressure on resources, and that means that we can't, for example, look after our own vulnerable children because those resources become very stretched and it's very unplanned. So I want it to be a fair system. I want people to be able to get asylum here. I think that's a good thing, but you can't do it in this way, and it's not just us saying that.
But you're sending everybody. Your policy is everybody who comes on illegal boats will be sent to Rwanda. There is no case for asylum for them. That is your policy.
Hang on a second. Firstly, we want people to be able to go to a safe country, which is Rwanda, but we want to have a fairer system. And if you can stop people coming over in overwhelming numbers, you can have a fairer system. And that is really important. And like I said, it's not just us now. Lots of countries across Europe are saying that's the approach we want to take because actually they want to be able to deal with illegal immigration. And it is just the Labour Party who are the outlier here because they don't want to take any kind of bold action. They don't want to tell you what their plan is, and they don't care about this issue in the way that we do. So at the next election, there is a stark choice, and I do think it's important from a compassionate point of view that we make sure that people aren't coming over illegally in these very dangerous boats,
I
which
think
are
all parties
being run by
agree with
criminal
that.
gangs.
It's just how to tackle it, isn't it? That's where the differences are. Good to speak to you this morning. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.